Hi, it's so nice to see everyone again virtually. You're tuned to Season 3, that's right, Season 3 of Music and Chat with Shueh-li Ong, and it's a good morning from me to you in Singapore. Please say hi in the live chat and let us know where you're tuning in from. Don't be backward and coming forward. And remember, if you have any questions, to put those in the live chat as well so that I may attend to them as the stream moves along. I'm asking a special Christmas favor from everybody who's viewing to please subscribe. I have a goal to raise my subscription numbers, and you will make my Christmas wish come true. Thank you. I want to say hi to my friends tuning in. Oh, looks like we might have a relative or a rally, as we say in Australia. Hi, Tony Krehel. You must be related to Race, I believe. Let us know if that's so. And thank you for tuning in. Florida. I have never been to Florida. I've been wanting to. I do a regular drive pre-COVID from Nashville to Jersey every year as part of my gig circuit. And I've been wanting to pay Florida a visit. Hopefully that will happen one day. I also want to say hi to Brian. Hey, Brian, nice to see you, and thanks for tuning in. And Tony says yes. Tony with an I must be she. I'm not sure. She. If you're a she or he, let us know. But yes, you're a relative of Race. Thanks for tuning in again. Alrighty. Again, if you have any questions for our guests, put them in the live chat, please. And just be aware that the stream does arrive to YouTube 30 to 90 seconds. It's been known to be sometimes to have a 90-second delay by the time it gets to you. So put those questions in chop chop so that by the time we get them and respond to them, the live stream is still happening. Okie dokes. It is, this is the stream before Christmas, as I said earlier on, and we will resurrect Music and Chat in January. There will only be a couple of weekends delay so that you may party on for Christmas and the New Year. So stay with me. Season 3 has not ended yet. So it's 9:36 a.m. in Singapore. Let's get on with it. I have decided to play 2 pieces for you. An arrangement of Bach and Gounod's Ave Maria from my first album. Something a little more contemplative and peaceful for the end of this year. And a special request from Music and Chat Ambassador Gary Mayulo. He wanted Hubris Tin-whistle, which is a movement from my upcoming concerto. This large movement piece I've been working on for a few years now. So I'll do that for you. And then let us know in the live chat as well what you plan to do for the holiday season. Will you be doing some traveling? Maybe not. Maybe with your family to savor a little home-cooked food, maybe. Watching some old movies. Just spending time with your loved ones. Let us know. All right, so let me turn my Theremin cam on. My regular viewers are probably familiar with this by now. And look, I got a Christmas tree just for you. So I'll begin with Ave Maria. And then I will finish off with Hubris. Just let me tune a bit, calibrate first. Okay, so now for Hubris Tin-whistle. So those of you who understand the physics of sound know that the shorter the tin whistle, because it's a very primitive primary type instrument design, the shorter the instrument, the higher the key. This is my F tin whistle, which my good friend Michael Spicer, Mix, if you're tuning in, gave me. He said his fingers are too chubby, maybe mine will fit. So I inherited his F tin whistle. So I decided to write this piece for it. Of course, you try and keep it warm so that it's in key. Okay, here we go. So that was Hubris with Tin-whistle. Gary, I hope that was the Christmas present you were waiting for. And thanks again for requesting it. So, on to the next thing. COVID has, and I hope you're all doing well. Speaking of, COVID has accelerated a lifestyle that is reclusive. It's been tough for all of us, but I'm glad to see that everyone is doing well, and we can only hope for a better year next year. But because of this reclusive life, amongst other needs, this situation has driven immersive technologies down the fast lane. Many of us have played VR games, experienced immersive movies, even made our own Instagram AR filters. I haven't, but I'm contemplating downloading the necessary apps to do this, to give this a try. You want to know more about this? Well, you're at the right place. Let us welcome in our guests who have had much experience in these areas. They're already on Skype, so I shall bring them in. Ryan Race, if you can hear me, please unmute your microphones.
Hey, how's it? That music was amazing. I loved it.
Thanks,
yes,
Ryan.
did not know there were going to be theremins involved.
There are always theremins involved when I'm doing my stuff. It's my life, theremins. Thank you, you guys. Thanks for being here again. Ryan, of course, is joining us from Dallas, Texas, so he's on Central U.S. time, and that would be you're 7:47 p.m. right now, aren't you?
Yeah, actually, yeah, that's it.
That's right, and Race is actually in Singapore.
Yeah, sunny Singapore.
Sunny
bright and early here.
Sunny Singapore. First question for both of you, of course. Some of our viewers are aware of what VR and AR stand for. Others may not and don't quite understand what is involved in it, particularly when we talk about people who work in the area. So if you could give us a summary, maybe in 2 sentences, what you do, perhaps. Like, let's start with Ryan. It's Ryan Hartsell, everybody, and Race Krehel, if I haven't introduced them yet.
Hi, so I'm a director of immersive experiences. What I would say, like, I tap all of the visual aspects of acquisition to post-production to animation. And I'm a creative director at a studio that produces non-stop immersive experiences, be it AR, XR, and VR. But a lot of the stuff that I've been doing for the past 8 years has been virtual reality based.
Thanks, Ryan. Race?
Yeah, I guess kind of a similar story to what Ryan just described. I'm a creative director at a little startup here in Singapore that specializes in immersive experiences and just content creation in general. Been in the VR field for, I guess, almost about 8 years as well, coming up on it, which is hard to believe.
Thanks, guys. It's hard to believe as well how old the technology is. Many of us are still very new to the whole idea of the immersive experience. But in our previous episode on immersive experience, we looked at how this platform's able to make a sizable impact on projects with social change as a message. The experience of I've actually been there affects the call to action in a way that I've just watched a documentary about it does. Ryan, you wrote and directed a 360 VR short film called The Evolution of the Testicles, and it's designed to start a conversation on male cancer. And from what I understand, you had Chris O'Dowd as the documentary host, and the documentary, congratulations, was selected for the 2018 South by Southwest Film Fest, and also won the Rain Dance Fest Award, amongst others. So a quick explanation for our viewers. I'll do a quick one for those new to the land of VR terminology. And Ryan and Race, you correct me if I'm wrong. 3D VR is digitally created and interactive in that you someone's model a tree, let's say, and if you're in the VR experience, you can take the tree and hold it and turn it around. Whereas a 360 VR film are recordings of the real world and non-interactive in the 3D sense. So you're engulfed in the world, but you can't actually take an existing tree and turn it around and crush it, let's say. That, for those who are not clear.
We say like it's either a passive experience, which is like it's on rails. It's like you're on a ride, you have no control over it, and then it's immersive experiences where you actually have some control, and then there's various levels of degree of that. Like most of the live action content is passive experiences, just by nature, the technology of the cameras and whatnot. But it's there's another realm that's it's growing. It's not quite fully accessible yet, but 6 Degrees of Freedom 6 off, where it's on rails, but you could move and the parallax changes as your perspective changes within it. But, the piece that I shot is stereoscopic, which means it's 3D and it's 360. You can't interact with it, but there's a lot of techniques to try to motivate the user. That every project that I'm in with that's passive, it's a lot of sleight of hand, and audio helps with that too. Audio can tell the viewer, I want you to look over here. By spatializing the sound, so it's directing the eye and hand-holding your user to go where you want them to go. There's a lot of ways visually that you can do it. It's you have to do it in your blocking and your staging of performance. So having somebody walk across your view instinctually has the viewer following that person, and now we've taught them instinctually to learn to move and to look away from where they were initially looking. So it's a lot of that kind of sleight of hand that's happening throughout the process.
It's kind of, so it's like traffic signals or road signs kind of thing, such as even when you turned around in your chair and you extended your arm, I had the tendency to follow your arm as you were describing how this works. So
exactly.
and the same is
more like theater in the round.
And the same is true for, as you were trying to describe, the use of sound, sound locations, that the sound is in a way like your traffic signals, helping guide you.
Absolutely.
Wonderful. I got if I may, show a quick clip of that documentary we just talked about. And before I do, I just want Race to know that your video has been turned off. I wonder if I need to...
Yeah, I'm seeing that on the live feed. It looks okay on my side, though.
You seem to have disappeared. That's strange. I hear you, but I don't see you on Skype as well.
I can see Race. I think the delay is just... Yeah.
Huh.
Let me try it off.
Let me see. Oh, yeah, I see you now. No worries. Good, you're back on.
Back up?
Yes.
Okay.
You're good. All right, so let's look at this quick clip. You guys are still on the screen, of course. But you also see me playing the clip soon on the live stream of this, the evolution of the testicles. Again, it's to start a conversation on male cancer, or at least to get the ball rolling. Oh, no pun intended. I didn't realize I did one of those things. Punning.
No, feel free. Like, we have testimonials in it.
Oh.
Like, there's a whole, we're playing off of it. You know.
And I want to say, Ryan, that I'm glad you did this short documentary. A lot of focus has been placed on breast cancer for women, and for friends out there, please also be mindful that breast cancer can be a male problem as well. So if there is history of breast cancer in your family, please go have a check. I bid you go, but not enough time or attention has been given to prostate cancer, so I'm glad you did this. So let's watch it quickly. Let me know, viewers, if you don't get the audio. I've tested it. I'm very sure it works. So here we go.
Wow. Look at that view. Just take in a deep, appreciate this moment, because right now you're flying inside the biggest nutsack in the world.
Since the dawn of time, man's obsession with testicles is undeniable. Throughout the centuries, we've borne witness to the evolution of testicles.
Oops. So there you go. That's an indication of some of the videos I watched in the last couple of days. Thank you. Thanks, Ryan. So for those of us here, besides, my plea to our viewing audience to please pay attention to your health, what inspired you to develop this project, Ryan?
So I've been a part of a program that Oculus started a while back called VR for Good, and I've been from the beginning as a consultant, and also I've been helping them with the first year they did it, and I helped on all the post side for pretty much all of them, and then I helped also as a set consultant to help shoot one of the pieces on season 1. And then season 2 came up, and I decided to throw my name in the hat. They were choosing 10 people from around the world that they would pair with a nonprofit to make a piece to raise awareness for a cause.
Oh.
And I was selected, and they told me I had to make a piece about testicular cancer.
Oh.
And my first instinct was like, how am I going to make a piece about testicles, And then I started looking into the charity, and the guy that runs it, Patrick Cox, him and I are great friends now, but he has a really great sense of humor. He runs a male cancer awareness campaign, which they focus on specifically male cancers, but raising awareness. And the main thing that men die of is embarrassment. So, men are stubborn. They don't like, going to the doctor, getting checked out, and this kind of thing. So I think it's a great way to get guys' attention is humor. So that instinctually, he was already working with Chris O'Dowd earlier, and I was like, oh, this has to be a comedy. But I didn't want it to be the whole time just laugh out, because this is a serious issue with testicular cancer.
Yeah.
So I wanted to balance the emotion with seriousness, but also like hope and laugh out loud moments together. So we worked together, and we created something that's still like one of the things I'm most proud of, and we've had amazing support with people coming out and telling us, hey, I went and got checked out because of this video, and if we could save one person, the whole thing is worth it, and it's just, VR has been really awesome as far as reaching out in a way that connects with people deeper. There's some studies that have been done that showed that an experience you have in virtual reality is a real memory. beyond just like say watching a movie in a movie screen or it's disconnected. This actually is a personal memory that you've experienced something personally on a deeper level. So the way obviously Chris Milk called it the empathy machine, but that rings a little bit of truth because you're able, in a way, because you're in a POV on almost every single VR experience, you're in the perspective of somebody else. So being able to experience it, to walk in somebody else's shoes, creates empathy in a way that's deeper than any other experience out there.
What do you feel people most misunderstand about a VR experience such as what you described?
I think a lot of times people get hung up with a gimmick. They're like, oh, okay, it's just bells and whistles, and there's nothing deeper to it. Everything, like I said, there's an easy way to do VR to where you're not paying attention to the medium. But I think that's the biggest mistake. There's a lot in the beginning of VR. There wasn't a whole lot of curation. So a lot of the stuff that was put out there didn't have the craft or the care to try to utilize the medium for its purpose. And I think it's important for people creating content. Why are you doing this in VR? And if you are doing it in VR, use it for its strengths and not its weaknesses. And like I was saying, you can't treat live action VR as traditional filmmaking, and I think that's a trap a lot of people get into. You have to look at this as more of theater in the round, and that you're putting your subject in the middle of a theatrical play, and that's more the realm that you're working with as far as VR goes. So that's where I think a lot of people get hung up, though. It's like a lot of the content hasn't been delivered with its intention for the medium.
So that's interesting. You brought up some challenges, and you also made us realize that there is a craft that is separate from the traditional filming method. So how do you decide, and through your experience, what particular decisions have you made when it's come to filming for 360 so that it is uniquely different from the 2D experience and exciting in its own way? What are some of such decisions you've made?
So location hunting is way harder because you have to find locations that look great in all directions.
Yeah.
You also have to stage with almost like forced perspective in mind, the way you're staging things, because with the wide angle lenses, everything looks way farther than it should. But there's a challenge of if you get too close, you break seams, you make bad VR. So there's this push and pull with trying to find the sweet spot of staging your talent, staging your objects, your props, your whatnot, to create depth. When, in traditional filmmaking, I want to compress the space, give me a long lens, or if I want to, I have options to and editorially in traditional filmmaking, close up, medium wide, there's easy ways to get out of the situation.
Yeah.
Whereas in live action VR, you have the challenge of doing a lot of one takes with a lot of things happening within a long period of time. So your staging, your choreography, there's a lot more that goes into the preparation of it. Now, from a cinematographer's point of view, other than understanding, having level for 3D and minimal distance away from camera and knowing where your seams are, some things are simpler. It's easier to do some run and gun stuff, but for high quality immersive experience, there's a lot more to it when it comes to staging your location and your blocking of everything.
So you finished off that by reminding us it is immersive. So if we look back to your Evolution of the Testicles documentary, how did you take advantage of the immersive experience in the "this is happening to me" angle? I haven't seen the film, of course, so I'm only assuming that you had some angles where the viewer took the place of the actual person viewing and taking in and understanding and appreciating what it's all about, so that they could wear the skin, I suppose, of the actor and say, look, this is the situation. Take a gander, take a closer look.
Every shot is thought out from the viewer's perspective. Basically, wherever the camera is, that's the human head.
Mm-hmm.
So the height of the camera matters. Most VR we try to put like a average human height. But since I was doing a piece about testicles, I had a cutaway to. We had three people in our piece that were survivors from testicular cancer that carried the stories. And one of them was a marathon runner, and they're all in. We shot this over in Ireland and in London. And when we cut to the marathon runner, we actually lowered the camera to his crotch level. Where like when we cut to this shot, you're looking straight at his crotch, and you have to look up to him as he's talking to you.
Wow.
And it's just using the medium for a joke, and it makes sense. There's not many opportunities where putting a camera towards somebody's crotch makes sense, but in this case it did. So that's kind of one of the instances where I got creative with like the placement of the camera. There's another scene in there where we did a transition by starting you looking. You're in a park, and a streaker runs by, and as he runs by, we reveal our next subject, who's on a park bench talking straight at us. So that's what I'm saying. It's like this the sleight of hand to get the viewer to look where you want them to look. So it's a lot of that. It's almost like trying to be a magician, when you're doing a magic trick, and so like look over here, while you're pulling out something over here. And the other thing with all of these experiences, you're always going to have a curious wander in the passive experience that's going to like, hey, I know I'm supposed to be looking right here, but I don't care. I'm going to see what's back here, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I always try to put Easter eggs in my pieces to reward the curious viewer. And it also, I think that adds to the immersion too, because it makes them think like, hey, I need to watch it again because there's probably something happening behind me that I missed out on. If they know that things are like that within the pieces, it creates a false sense of immersion, even though it's there, for them to want to engage or to think. I always go back to like, and I don't think they had any, maybe they had something like this in Singapore, but Showbiz Pizza or Chuck E. Cheese, like when I was a kid, after the band played and then the curtains would close, I'd always go and peek behind the curtain and just to see if they're still moving or still talking. And it's that feeling of that curiosity that I think is really awesome about VR, because you could do that, you could hint at it. And I think that sparking curiosity sparks imagination. I think that's what we all need, is more imagination on the planet in general.
Thanks, Ryan. So this is viewed through the Oculus range of VR gear. Is that so?
Yeah, you could find the piece is published through Oculus. You could find it through their Oculus video in the social good category, I believe. But you could also look up Evolution of Testicles, Oculus.
So, as you're talking about little Easter eggs and visual hints, and earlier on you mentioned about audio hints, you're hearing a sound somewhere behind you or over your shoulder, and you look around to see what it might be, just like we would normally react to things around us, sensory experiences around us. As you're talking about that, it reminded me of a VR game that I played with my family maybe a couple of Christmases ago, and they had a chest plate. Don't ask me what the particular type of equipment was, but I remember there was a chest plate and there was haptic responses or haptic feedback as well, which was quite uncanny but fun at the same time. Do you think that extra sense could be useful in some VR movie like that, or do you think it's just another bell and whistle that having visuals and sound is adequate?
I think if it's motivated, that's the whole point. Like, as long as it's motivated and it's not just done just for a cheap gag, unless you're going for that. Everybody likes junk food every once in a while, but like, if you just want to curate, like, why are you doing that?
Yeah.
Right? Like, what's the effect that you're trying to achieve? I think you need to answer those questions before you do something.
Thank you. I do like that statement very much. Everyone out there, think deeply of what you're doing why you're doing something before you do it. I think that applies to everything in our lives. Of course, it's easy to then say, well, I eat because I'm hungry. There you go. That's a good reason. Your first job, Ryan, was working on season 1 of Jimmy Fallon's lip sync battle. This was in 2015, and it's viewable via Samsung's Gear VR, from what I read. And tell us about this gig, please.
So I was a motion designer at a company called Real Effects, who's put out a bunch of movies, Book of Life, and they just put out Scoob recently. But on the side, I was always making films, and they were in early 2014. They were one of the big funders of Oculus when it was on Kickstarter.
Okay.
So they ended up getting a bunch of dev stuff like earlier than a lot of people got it, and they asked me if I would like to change my career and figure this out for them. And I was like, all right, okay. So they handed me a box with like 100 GoPros and all kinds of like really rudimentary rigs. Like, this was early days, and there was like a handful of studios trying to figure it out. So I started figuring out workflows, and there wasn't anything I could Google at the time. But it seemed like while I was figuring it out, next week they're like, oh, hey, we just booked a job. You're going to New York, and you're going to be shooting on the first season of Lip Sync Battle. I'm like, what? So pack up, and I go out there, and my hotel room, it was a mess. Like, it was like 100 GoPros plugged in. I would stay up all night, like, setting all of them. Early days of VR was like, it was a pain. So they would overheat. There was a lot of things I found out, like, on the job, kind of like, oh, that one camera stopped rolling. Well, guess what? That busts the whole take, because you need all of it. So And sometimes I was like, oh, I got lucky, and it was just the ceiling, so I could make a clean plate or something like that. But it was a trial by fire, but it was really cool because like I said, the first job lip sync battle, I'm working with celebrities every day, and it was a lot of fun, but it was the stress was pretty high at the same time. But I was able to put a headset on John Krasinski and Stephen Merchant for the first time to see him in
Cool.
VR, and like got to be backstage and see the drama with J-Lo and stuff. And but since that job, for the first 2 to 3 years, I wasn't home. Like they were like, oh, right after this, you got to fly over to here to do this. And like the early stages of VR, everybody wanted to see the stuff that they were either afraid to do or they like couldn't do. So it was some of it was extreme sports. I've done three skydiving shoots. And the first shoot ended up having to jump out, and I never jumped out of a plane before. And then I did a shoot in Oman, the catamaran race that they have, and I'm on the boats. They're flying out of the water, and I'm seeing boats capsize in front of me, and people fall off and stuff. So it got kind of hairy because a lot of the one thing about live action VR, it sees everything.
Yeah.
And if you're manning the camera, you have to be close to the camera. So a lot of time I'm geared up. I'm in the and I have to look like everybody else. So like I had like in the planes when the skydivers, I had a parachute on me in case I fell out. And I had like all the helmets and everything, and on the boats, like I had to be geared up with full tack and like hang on, and so there's a lot of those areas. So it was interesting. I got to check off a lot of bucket list things, but at the same time, it was like I was trying to tell work, you realize I'm risking my life for these shoots for a while.
Did they pay you well?
Yeah, I have a great existence and I can't complain. Okay. Yeah, but it's been interesting, and there's it's slowed down a little, and it's gotten way less hairy. So they're more controlled now, and a lot of the budgets are moving towards interactivity and animation more than the live action has been for a while. But last year I did a few live action shoots, but currently I'm actually working on more animation and more live action. But during the pandemic, XR kind of took off, so we did a few shoots on the same stage that they use for like Mandalorian. So everything's run through Unreal Engine, and it's the whole stage is like LED walls that are tracked to a virtual camera to the live camera. So you're able to do green screen without green screen basically, and have camera movements. And it's been interesting. Those jobs are really tough because we're like, it's kind of the nature of the beast. We're thrown into something that's a little early, and we have to make it work. But yeah, that's been pretty cool. We did the NBA Finals, and we did Jason Derulo concert and some other stuff.
Wow.
But so it's been all over the place. But like it seems like every job, it's like, here's something you've never done before, figure it out, and then make it happen.
Gotcha. So you talked about how, and you had mentioned this previously, that you've worked on some interactive VRs as well. So I have a clip from your Battles from the Bench, because you worked on scenarios such as your description, skydiving. You had some underwater work, drag racing. You filmed some NBA, NFL. And I have this NHL, National Hockey League one, where the viewer has a chance to make decisions on a play that consists of the real world footage. So that's interactive, though, isn't it? Even though it's not interaction with a simulated world environment, it's interaction somewhat with real world footage. Not that you grab the hockey player and twist him or her around, but you make interactive choices about the play. Am I right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
So basically the way that piece worked is like a choose your own adventure. I don't know if you remember those novels from like the 80s, but you have to shoot all the permutations that are choices.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a moment in that piece where it's timed, right? So if the viewer doesn't make a selection in a certain time, it automatically picks for them. But we had a UI that was interactive with gaze base. So that means you just have to stare at the selection you want, and a little wheel fills up until you've stopped staring and that section goes like. And,
so how does it track?
You're able to make a decision.
How does it track that something tracks the eye movement? How does that work?
So same with the accelerometer, it knows a vicinity of where you're looking.
Got it.
At any particular place, and also you see a little cursor in your vision that you can control by moving your head, and you move that little cursor to where you want it to land. How
well does that work?
So
do people feel a little unaccustomed to doing that with their head, so it's a larger movement now rather than a small movement, say, using the mouse with your hand? Does the larger movement disorientate people?
No, it's pretty intuitive. It works pretty well, especially like in most of these experiences, they have brand ambassadors telling the people to helping them with instructions and that kind of thing. But as people do VR more, they're kind of like, okay, they get it a little bit more. And some of the technologies are with where you're looking. The next round of headsets, they're not out yet, but they're going to have what's called as a foveated rendering, which is like you're gonna have more fidelity because it automatically puts the pixel data where you're looking, so it saves memory, so that the stuff behind you like looks terrible, but it doesn't matter because you're only looking right here. Right. So then the inside out head tracking stuff with the way Oculus is working right now. Yeah. I think that's been a game changer for like adoption of VR with the Quest 2 especially. But then the next round of that with the foveated rendering, and also they're doing hand tracking, so you don't even need to use controllers anymore. Wow. So if the adoption continues and we get there, all of that's going to get to the next level real quick. Wow. Because we're scratching at it right now.
Wow. Let's see a clip from this Battles from the Bench we just talked about. It's from your website. You have a business collective called the Flight School Studio. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's the studio I work for. We're kind of under the Real Effects umbrella, but Flight School Studio, we've done quite a few things that are out there. We have a permanent exhibit at the World War I Museum with a piece called War Remains that's really cool if anybody's in the area.
There you go. So I'll play a clip from your Flight School website. 1 second, please. Here we go.
At the end of 3 periods,
Hold on, it's loading. Sorry, I got a lot running at the moment. I think it's still loading the video. So I'll try it again. Hey.
At the end of 3 periods, the score is tied 4-4.
I'm just gonna refresh it. Sorry, guys. It is a live stream. So, refreshing. Okay, let's try it again. Anything moving? Yeah. I'm just gonna run this manually. I think we have a lot.
At the end
Yeah, it's not refreshing quick enough. So maybe we'll come back to it, but I'll just scroll through some of the scenes. Sorry, Ryan.
No, it's it's all good. My feet were about frozen at the end of that shoot because I was on the ice the whole time.
Oh dear. So there you go. Some scenes from viewed through was this on the Oculus as well? No, correct me if I'm wrong.
This was
No?
for the All-Star game. This was exclusive
Okay.
during the All-Star game.
Oh, all right. I know I saw some scenes of people putting their headsets on to view this. Here we go. Ah, I see.
Yeah, we played it through Oculus headsets, but they were viewing. I think we had. I believe we were using Rifts, maybe tethered on that one. I'm not quite sure if we had that because it was interactive. So we might have had them hooked to a computer.
Right. And there's a clip of this guy saying how great it is. The experience, of course.
And we used some dev cameras on that with radiant images, and we used I think it was the first time in the field, but this camera that allowed us to do slow-mo.
Wow.
I think we shot around 160 frames per second.
Wow. Gee. So you shot at those many frames so you could slow it down. So when it played at regular speed, it slowed down, I suppose.
Yeah, so like hockey's such a fast game. I wanted to be able to like slow it down so we could see the puck and like have some of those like slow down, speed up moments with the puck going into the net. You know.
Cool. Wonder if I can try.
I think he's with the Dallas Stars now.
Oh wow.
Pavelski.
I'm gonna see if I can play the end of this clip. I'm gonna try.
Project that broke new ground.
No, it's not working. The audio is doing well, but the video is not happy. So anyway, I will refresh it while we're doing something else and see if we can play it later. So, but you guys, our viewers, if you're interested, please go to the flightschoolstudio.com website and you'll find this video clip amongst other clips that are just as interesting and fascinating that Ryan has done along with his business collective, Flight School Studio. Go check it out. So I had been meaning to ask you about the tools that you've used. You have given us some indication, but you're telling me in our messaging previously that you use a combination of Unreal Engine and Unity for your game development, I believe, because you've moved from 360 movies to creating games with CG objects instead of video footage. Tell us a bit about that before we move on to Race.
Yeah, so we still do 360. I'm still doing like that kind of stuff too, but like we've also developed games for PlayStation and the Nintendo Switch. We had a game Creature in the Well and one called Stonefly. But we also do, so the VR games, we have one called Island Time that's kind of been a YouTube thing where there's a lot of people trying to make YouTube videos playing it, which is pretty fun. And we're working on expanding that to some more platforms, but it really took off on PlayStation VR. And depending on the art style and the application, we'll either use Unity or Unreal. And it also depends on resources in the studio at the current time, whether our developers, who's available, right? We have people that are like Unity only, and then have people that are Unreal only. But like I said, the aesthetics tell a lot of what you want to use. So like if you want to do something that's a little more photoreal, you're going to want to use Unreal for that. You know, it lends itself instinctually to that type of aesthetic. So like I said, it just depends on the project and the going back to what I said, why, right? Sometimes the idea makes more sense as an interactive piece than it does as a 360 piece. And then sometimes it makes more sense as a 360 piece than an interactive piece. The same way if you look at like photography versus film, you know, or painting versus sculpture, right? They all have different approaches. They all have different reasons for why you're going to do it like that, right?
Do your clients usually know what they want when they come see you for your help, or do you go hunt down these clients? Do you go get the accounts, or the accounts come to you?
It's a combo. So, you know, it's a little bit of both. You know, we started to grow a reputation as a creative type place where people come to us because they know that we're going to come up with interesting ideas for narrative or for interactivity. But, you know, a lot of times, like, we'll have people that we've worked with in the past that already have a concept,
right,
and they'll come to us to execute it. And we'll have our input on, like, oh, well, it would be better if we did it this way, or, like, you know, we'll help shape it with them. But, like, and we're collaborative with everybody pretty much that we work with. So the best idea always wins, you know.
Have you ever met a client who had a false idea of what they were getting, or what you could provide?
Well, we usually try to inform them along the way. We have a process, and we have weekly check-ins and like multiple check-ins per week where they're not surprised when the end result comes out. You know, I think you get in a bad situation if you let them be surprised like that.
I asked because I've had a couple, at least, or one I can relate to. Everyone at least make it public. This was years and years ago. I had a client, you know, I was running a recording studio then, and they wanted me to write a funk tune. So I said, okay, and this was for a children's series. So I said, sure, I'll write you a funk tune. I did it all. They visited me. I presented to them, and they said to me, is this funk? I said, yes, isn't this what you're expecting? They said, oh, I didn't know this was funk. they had plucked the term out of, hearsay. They had conversations and someone said to them, "Oh, I think you should have funk because it'll be really good." So they brought it to me. I did something funk, and they had no clue what to expect. But I didn't think to ask them that, do you know what you're looking for? Are you sure it's funk you want? What's what impact do you hope that it would make in this children's series? Are you sure you don't want pop or something else or fusion or whatever? You sure you want funk? I didn't think of playing something that was funk oriented. Let them say, "Oh yes, that's exactly what I want." So I was wondering if you had occasion to.
Yeah, no, there's definitely where like a client will say blue, but they really mean red. I mean, we deal with that a lot, and a lot of the times when we're in that situation, I usually try to ask them if they could send me examples of what they like or what they're looking for, right? So that can kind of inform me sometimes, like if we're discussing and it's clear they don't quite understand what they're asking for.
Yeah. Well, I've learned a lot from that lesson many, many years ago, thankfully.
Yeah.
Thanks, Ryan. Race. Hey, you.
How's it going?
Oh, good. Thanks for being so patient, listening and waiting. But everyone, Race lives in Singapore now and has lived in Singapore for 8 years, you say? No.
13 years.
13 years.
That must be an outdated bio by about 5 years.
13 years. And you were previously from?
From Jacksonville, Florida.
Oh, of course, that's right. Because Tony is in the viewing audience, and she said hi. It's a she. Is Tony a she or a he?
That's my mom.
Oh, she. I wasn't quite sure because I have some few friends by the name of Tony spelled with an I at the end, and the one spelled with a Y are the guy friends. This one spelled with the I are the female friends.
I think that's the delineation.
Yeah. Hi, Race's mom. Thanks for tuning in from Florida. Race, we last on this live stream discussed the use of brain entrainment on an episode on immersive audio. And for those of you who might have forgotten, entrainment is the body's response to the rhythm of the environment by calibrating to its tempo. And one of your works, Race, combined binaural beats and VR with the focus on the entrainment part, and was created for an installation in Singapore under the auspices of Indigoism. Tell us about this installation, please.
Sure. So actually, that piece is quite old, but I think it touches on actually some of the stuff that Ryan was talking about, and just kind of the journey of the technology itself. Indigoism is, or was, I don't know if they still go by it, but it was a pair of friends of mine who make beats and kind of are in the therapeutic kind of sound. I think they played a lot of it in like the kind of float tank, the saltwater floating tanks and stuff. I know they've worked with some of the local people here doing that. And this was their kind of first, they wanted to bring that type of experience, I guess, out of the float tank. The pop-up kind of exhibition itself was not in a float tank. It was kind of in the middle of downtown Singapore. And that, so it was a multifaceted, complicated project, to say the least, from the beginning. Because I think, Ryan was talking about the Quest 2 and how good the hardware is now, which it is. this goes back to the very early days of the Samsung Gear VR, which was kind of the first like consumer grade VR kit, which Samsung produced, I believe in partnership with Oculus, but that one was really, they give you the headset thing, and then you slide your phone into it, and then stick that on your face. And so, you know, I think it started with the S6, and I think what we're up to the S21, although that's the year, I think that's, you know, at least 5 or 6 models ago. And phones were a lot less powerful than they are now. Moore's law is doing its job. And so really limited in kind of the capabilities of what you can do in real time. And so this one, and not just real time, you know, visuals on the phone, but also developing content that worked in that way for, you know, the kind of VR ecosystem was very nascent at the time. And so it was something that ended up doing, basically exporting a 360 panoramic video, similar to what Ryan did with his GoPros, but it was all CG.
Right.
And was just kind of you know, supposed to be an ambient exploration of, I guess, the binaural beats, as they called them. I was kind of inspired by like early, like 1996 style CG graphics. I don't know if anybody remembers those from back in the day, but kind of surrealist type animation, and just one of those kind of on the tracks type experiences. So passive, like Brian was saying, where I guess, you know, at the installation they would lay you down on kind of a plank, or you know, they had pillows and stuff, and then put the headphones on. They kind of gave you a little guided meditation before starting the thing, and then put you in and let you go. And relatively short experience, but like all these things, was a lot more work than you think it's going to be at the outset.
Yeah.
But good fun. I think it was a good example of probably the best case for virtual reality, especially back then. Brian was talking about kind of the gimmick factor of a lot of this stuff, and I think it's still true today that, you know, event-based virtual reality works for these type of activations, where you've kind of got a captive audience, and just put the headset on and let them go.
I did go to your web, the site that you indicated. I'm not sure if everyone can see this. You should, I see it on my screen, or you should on the live stream in a few seconds, but you see some of the equipment and this lounge that Race was talking about. You can kind of recline on this kind of chaise lounge and experience the visuals with the headset, and you have headphones on, I'm sorry, for the audio part of the experience of the binaural beats. Race, did your clients know what they wanted? Did they come to you with, well, we know how this works, we want this, this, and that? Or were there surprises along the way?
They did not. Again, this was very kind of early going in VR, and you know, I think I still run into this issue today, but it was even more prevalent back in 2015 or whatever, where I think people's idea of what virtual reality is and what you can do in it is definitely shaped by like science fiction literature, and it's very much one of these things that until you try it on, you know, it's kind of hard to understand.
Yeah.
And so a big part of the job for that, and continues to be today, is you know, setting kind of expectations appropriately. I think, you know, they were probably expecting something where, oh, you can interact with stuff, just use your hands and everything, and it was like, no, it's a mobile phone strapped to your face.
Yeah.
not gonna get too much out of it.
Yeah.
And that has continued, and I think it's interesting. I think back then, that would be 5 or 6 years ago, I was saying, you know, we're still 5 years away from kind of the mass adoption of virtual reality. And I still say that today, that we're still probably 5 years away from it. Definitely making good progress, but my experiences in the field, kind of on the other side of the curtain in terms of production, it's still a lot of work, and the, you know, one aspect of it will get better, like computer, you know, graphics get more powerful, and then you got to wait for the headset, you know, resolution to catch up, then you got to wait for the bandwidth to stream it to catch up, then you got to wait for the platform to distribute it to catch up. So
some
there's a
things
lot of
never
different
change.
components. Yep.
So, Race, were you familiar with entrainment before this project?
I'm familiar with the concept. I think the field itself is fascinating as it relates to virtual reality, and there's another project that I don't know if you saw on the website, called Oceans We Make, which is a virtual reality piece that I made with my former company and the Mesh Minds Foundation, which I think we'll probably talk about later, which was about ocean plastic and ocean waste. And that one was very much meant to evoke kind of the emotional response from the viewer. And I guess I would say it was similar to, you know, the Evolution of the Testicles piece from Ryan, something that, you know, it was using the medium for kind of a good cause, if I do say so myself. And that one was very much, I think, the most successful kind of virtual reality piece that I'd done. And that was actually right after the entrainment piece that you're discussing here.
Oh, did that project also utilize entrainment to, I can't think of another word, but the word hypnotize the viewer?
Maybe not directly in the definition you're using, but it definitely did. It was meant to evoke an emotional response, and it did. People were crying by the end of it. So,
do you have any
not
statistics from the viewership? Were they emotionally affected due to the visuals, the immersive experience, the entrainment aspect? Do you have any idea, just out of curiosity?
Actually, there was a paper written about it here from one of the local universities. They've actually used the piece for kind of their own studies about the impact that virtual reality has on the people who view it. And that was cool to get included in some actual kind of scientific research about virtual reality. And obviously there were a lot of positive responses based on it. It's kind of, survey based, so I'm not sure how scientific it is at the end of the day. But for our purposes, it seemed like it was a good success. Made people want to do their part to clean up the oceans.
Yes, there's a lot of suspicion, isn't there, when we talk about technology, particularly new technology. Although it's not really that new, as the two of you have made that clear. VR and AR have been around for many, many years. I guess it's only been made more portable and affordable for the common person to lay their hands on, so that we all get to experience a piece of VR and AR. Race, in our messaging previously, you had mentioned using Unreal Engine in an unconventional way, designing AR filters. May I assume that you applied this to this next project we're going to look at, Wild Critters, an installation in Singapore? Did you use?
Yeah, so I've been a big kind of unofficial Unreal evangelist here in Asia. And it's obviously got a wide range of stuff, and you can actually do some AR inside of it. But for the projects we're discussing coming up, it was kind of an inside-out way of working, where I would build the scene in Unreal, then export the environment to the Spark AR, which is the software that they use for doing the Instagram and Facebook filters. So it has its limitations. I guess it's kind of like using a chainsaw to cut down weed. As Ryan said, Unreal kind of goes towards the higher end spectrum of things, but it's been my main workflow and software package since Unreal Engine 4 came out, basically. And it's like a big sandbox. You can really do just about anything inside of it now. It's pretty incredible. And so this, for the Wild Critters, very much an unnecessary amount of power behind it, but was fun to help visualize stuff. I almost used it as like a reality simulator, which I think is something that they're trying to push us all towards, actually, with their software. But in different projects, like with projection mapping stuff that I do, I can actually now build the facade of a building and make a projector and actually project the content onto the building, physically accurate inside of Unreal, to get a better understanding of how it'll look. So that's kind of a similar effect that I use when doing these augmented reality pieces.
Cool, very nice. Well, I did pull up the Instagram page of Wild Critters, and I'll show it right now. So this is this one example of the work. You see it in the live stream in a few seconds, Race, and everyone else. So I see kind of like an octopus style creature that sits on top of this person's head.
Yeah, so this is for Singapore Art Week last year. Singapore Art Week is coming up in about 3 weeks, which is what I've been working on for the past month, actually, here. But yeah, this was last year. This was with a kind of a group project where we were tasked to go to this kind of area called Gilman Barracks, which is an arts district in Singapore, and do kind of location-based augmented reality. So the idea was to get guests to kind of walk around this historic area. I think Gilman Barracks, it used to be an army barracks, hence the name. And so it was kind of a self-guided tour through the area, and then each group of artists was tasked to come up with kind of a fictional character that interacted with either the user or the environment in some way. And so this guy is called Trancy, Smart Octopus, which you can see on the side there. It says bio. He enjoys high internet traffic areas, cell towers, Starbucks, diet listicles, fake news, disinformation, 5G. And so it was kind of a fun, cute project, mainly for kids, to just get them to interact with it. And you can actually try the filter out if the guests want to. It's all still live. It's good fun. Be sure to tag us if you do. So the project, I'm not sure where our viewers are. I'm sure everywhere, around the world, kind of thing the COVID issue differently with regards to kind of live events. But Singapore is a world unto its own, and this was really it was the first time in a while that we were able to go outside and really kind of do stuff. I'm trying to make it not sound so grim, but our world at least has become very QR code based. And so this one, you go to the location, then you scan the QR code, and then put the thing on top of your head that way, while wearing your mask, of course.
Of course. Were you there to witness the reaction of some of these visitors to the installation, and particularly to your installation?
Yeah, we made it down. I mean, again, it was a good chance to get out of the house finally after a while of not being able to do that.
Yeah.
And actually interact with all of our friends that we worked on with the project, which was kind of awkward not seeing them. I don't know how it is, again, for where you guys are, but going out and seeing people that you've been talking to for months for the first time in person is always kind of like, hey.
Hello, stranger.
Yes, yeah. You look really real. It was fun. I think, AR and VR are different in kind of the capabilities in what they deliver. I guess, it's clear in the name, augmented reality is just augmenting what you see, whereas, virtual reality is much more of being able to take somebody and put them in a different place. And I guess with augmented reality, since it's really confined to a small screen like a phone or a tablet, I know the smart glasses are coming, but they're not quite here yet. The experience is much more bite-sized. And not only, from a technical standpoint, I think, the limitation for AR filters on Instagram is like 4 megabytes, which nowadays, I've got MP3s that are bigger than that. So there's a lot of, stuff to cram into 4 megabytes. And I think that presents a challenge in its own right. How can I make something that's engaging that also fits into the given space? And then it also presents a set of rules for the developer to follow, because you've got kind of certain types of interactions that people can do to engage with the content itself, where you can get, when they blink, it does something. When they open their mouth, it does something. The hand tracking is coming. It's getting there. So I find augmented reality is a unique way to engage people differently, but it's still very much a gimmick in the sense that I think, you know, the main objective, not surprisingly, for Facebook or Instagram or Meta, whatever they're calling themselves now, is to get people to share the thing at the end of the day. And so your entire experience kind of has to be, you know, 10 to 15 seconds long. And it has to be something that is intuitive, and you don't need to, you know, explain necessarily how it works. And so that's been a really interesting part of the whole learning process of this new medium, where it has these, you know, specific rules that you have to follow in order to create kind of more engaging content that works. And I guess at the end of the day, you know, gets eyeballs on it.
Speaking of more engaging, I read an article, and of course I didn't know about this till a couple of days ago, that Snap, the company behind Snapchat, released an AR hyped a version of their spectacles in May of this year. What do you think of seeing the world through those kind of glasses and interacting with the world
Well,
that way?
they're out. Facebook's got their Ray-Ban partnership now. Google bought a glasses company. Apple did too, I think. So it's coming, and it will be unavoidable at the rate that we're going. And yeah, that there's going to be a lot of, you know, ethicists papers written about the coming age. I guess in kind of some of my own personal work that I've been developing with friends here has touched on this subject, and I don't know, I haven't heard anybody else say it, so I'll say that I've coined the term, but kind of a different form of dementia, Augmentia, where I think, you know, you already see it with, you know, people's heads kind of glued to their phones. I think, you know, human evolution, at least for now, people are going to have crooked necks in the future. But the just absorption of, and I guess they call it, you know, the attention economy now is really what it is, and competing for not only your eyeballs but also you know, your thoughts. And so I guess as a developer, as a gamer, and, you know, the kid in me wanting to live in kind of, you know, these sci-fi futuristic, you know, cyberpunk worlds, as we get closer to it, it's becoming more and more clear that we're going to get kind of the dystopian Blade Runner version, as opposed to like the bright and cheery World of Tomorrow Disneyland version. And I think it will be interesting. I mean, it's incredible, some of the stuff that they're already doing with the technology now, just the depth sensing involved in that. And it's really, we're just at the very edge of where this, you know, the possibilities of this to go are. But, you know, just as how mobile phones let everybody who's now got a camera and video camera in their pocket, soon, and it's already happening, I guess, with iPads and iPhones, having the depth sensing cameras and the ability to go out and scan, you know, objects in 3D and bring, you know, acquire real world data. As that gets more democratized and into the hands of more people, and you've got more people going around scanning the real world, you know, the virtual world is going to live very much on top of the physical world. And I guess that's where the buzzword of 2021, metaverse, comes in, and is, Facebook's trying to get out ahead of that, or I should say Zuckerberg is, with changing their name. So it'll be interesting. I think there will get to be a point in time where just like it's hard to imagine not, having a mobile phone and, a direct connection to the internet in your pocket is now, it's not too hard to imagine, not too distant in the future, that it's going to be weird to not just have stuff popping up in your peripheral vision.
Well, speaking of real world data, you did do a project for World Environment Day this year, and we are still living in the real world. So the effects of our climate and our environment, the world we live in, is still a very topical conversation. So this piece is called EcoSphere. For those of you who are not familiar with what that means, EcoSphere is a tiny working model of the Earth, and it contains the same essential elements as what's found on our planet: air, water, life. And Race, you and your business collective were tasked to build a variety of AR filters for this project. Tell us about this project, please.
Sure. So this is another one, continuing our great partnership with the local kind of sustainability outfit called Mesh Minds Foundation. And this one, as you said, was for the United Nations Environment Program, for their World Environment Day. And so they asked us to create, I guess it was 3 or 4 different environments: the Philippines mangrove forest, a beach in Thailand, and the Himalayas. And to, I guess, show a nice clean version and then kind of a, wrecked trash version based on stuff that is actually happening. I think, there's a major problem on Mount Everest now of trash being left up there, and it's a real hassle for people to get up there and clean it. And then just the ecological problems happening elsewhere around the world. And so being an AR filter, I guess I was a bit not sure, again, at how much we'd be able to fit into 4 megabyte packages to properly convey kind of the gravity of the situations that are going on in these different locations. But I used Unreal to build a much higher fidelity version of the environments, and then use a technique to export what they call a HDRI image, spherical image, which kind of captures the lighting and everything of that environment, then exported those for Spark AR, crunched them down in size to make them easier and lighter on your data, and then pretty cool immersive experience where it puts you inside of the filter, and it's kind of the inverse of the face filter that we showed with the octopus. Instead of putting something on your head, it puts your head in a virtual environment, and kind of pops up little factoids about what's happening, and then shows the place change from kind of a dirty, wrecked environment to its intended clean thing, clean space. And these are, I guess, are important for, like I said, the main objective of AR filters is just to get eyeballs on it. It's not to really show you're not going to be able to, even if you could, photorealism on a phone screen is kind of pointless to a degree just because of the screen real estate. So the UN has their kind of goodwill ambassadors, different celebrities in different countries, because I think these were aimed mainly at the places that the filters represent, Thailand, India, Philippines, and then I'm forgetting the last one, but they got some celebrities to use them and share them, and I think, we accomplished our mission for the, footfall or eyeball fall traffic in that regard, which is just to, raise awareness, I guess, is at the end of the day kind of the goal of these projects. And, as somebody who obviously cares about the environment a great deal, I feel like it's my kind of contribution. It's the least I can do is to use the technology and hope that it does make an impact.
I think it's done. I'd like to show our viewers a couple of clips. This is the one that can be found on YouTube. I'll show this one first. 1 second, please. I hope it runs okay.
Those are also still up. You can go to Instagram, the UN Environment Program Instagram page, and try them out yourself too.
Yes, so Race was saying that you could go to the Instagram page and try it out too. I also have 1 second, please. A short clip that you sent me. Let me just find it. That's complementary to the clip on YouTube you just saw. Here we go. So you see what Race was referring to, the building of the environment, and some of the tags attributed to those portions of the environment. The repercussions of litter, refuse in the environment, and so on and so forth. It should be in the live stream very soon.
And the goodwill ambassador.
If not already. Okay. It's good to know, Race. I was going to ask you actually if you're personally invested in this area of concern. And you did answer my question before I asked you the question, so thank you very much. But I do have one about this World Environment Day AR filter project. Did you have a free hand in deciding what the specs of the project would be? Or did the client come in with, I know you can do this and that and so on and so forth, and we want it to, the outcome to be like so on and so forth?
These ones, they've got kind of, I think the UN, we've been very fortunate enough to, this is kind of, I think, the third project we've done with them. And it's all, environment based. And I think they've obviously got kind of specific goals for, whatever projects that, they're hitting for the year. And so they come to us and it's usually a yes or no. Can you guys do this? And I will usually say yes, and
Yes.
we'll make it work. So it's a good learning experience from that end, because they've got tons of data to share with us to back it up. So it's not like they're just kind of pulling the stuff out of a hat. These are the facts that they present inside the pieces themselves, even though they're tiny bite sized, they are real facts, and it's, you know, stuff that's actually happening. And I will say, from the first kind of ocean plastic piece that we did to now, that is a topic which I think everybody is somewhat aware of in their mind, but probably not truly aware of just how bad the situation is globally, and especially where I am in Southeast Asia, for how kind of advanced and clean Singapore is. And I don't know, I hope I don't get in trouble saying this, the amount of trash that washes up here on the beaches is quite scary. And you know, I went surfing in Bali one time, and you've got plastic bags, you know, draped off your arms while you're doing that, and is something that a lot of people don't, you know, it's out of sight, out of mind, but is a very real problem that is affecting more and more of the world, and doesn't seem to be getting any better anytime soon. So this type of work is, again, I feel like it's the least I can do.
Thank you, Race. Thanks for that. I have a few questions to conclude this chit-chat. Viewers, you've been very quiet, which means you are thinking profoundly about the messages that have been broadcast. Thanks to our guests. But if you do have any questions, please put them in the live chat. I did do a quick test of that Battles on the Bench video clip I want to show, and it looks like it might be working. So if you guys will humor me, let me play it for you. I hope. Keeping my fingers crossed. Uh-oh. It's happening again. It was working before. I'm going to try one more time, Ryan.
You can share the link and they can look at it later, you know.
All right. I'll share the link and I'll try it one more time as well. I put the link in the live chat, guys. Doesn't look like it's moving, is it? Yeah, it's not. Sorry, I tried. Maybe the many eyeballs, speaking of eyeballs, looking at that clip right now. I hope so. So, a few questions just to end this very thought-provoking live stream. And I really do appreciate having you, Ryan, and you, Race, on this live stream, particularly to tackle this area of how important, I suppose, the visual aspect of an immersive experience is. As sighted people, we often don't realize that we've taken our sight for granted, and everything that's fed to our sensory control center, I suppose, if you want to call it that way. But according to a Guardian article I read recently, at least 71 million VR and AR devices will be sold in 2025. So, Race, your prediction of 5 years later is pretty accurate. Earlier on, when you predicted that we will probably all be living in AR in 5 years. So there you go. And of course, when VR and AR and music enthusiasts meet, we have MR. At least that's what comes to mind. I've seen on YouTube, not personally, a few MR music concerts. But do you guys think that this scenario could be technically feasible, even practical, by this time, by 2025, you think? You know, assuming that the live music scene truly does open up completely and we have a variety to choose from. Do you think this could be one of the main delivery methods that we would have people holding their iPhones or donning headsets by a myriad of different companies and watching a mixed reality concert. And by then,
Yeah, I think
Go ahead, Ryan. Go ahead.
I'll say I think it absolutely, but I also think it'll depend on the artist and what they want to do. You know, depends on what kind of show they want to put out there. Like there's going to be those like more immersive shows, and then there's going to be the garage band that plays down the street. You know, so it's just. But I definitely think that technology is it's going to be somewhere where it's not right now, and I hope that we're moving away from looking through our phones. I hope that's the case. You know.
yeah.
I hope we go to more of a glasses situation. The thing is like what Race was saying now, like HoloLens and some of that stuff like is not quite where it needs to be. It's a little ways off. The peripheral vision isn't there, but like once we get to that, I think that's going to be where it's going to be really cool.
Thanks, Ryan. Race, you had something to say?
Yeah. Actually, that kind of part of this whole industry is close to where I'm at. I do a bit of music on the side, and it's one of the things that we've been developing is kind of a hybrid virtual reality album, if you will. But also the live streaming aspect. I think, when COVID hit and forced everything inside, all of a sudden you've got, everybody on Earth is live streaming their DJ set from their bedroom. But at the same time, a lot of, the big festivals had to shut for a year, and they moved to an online platform. And, for instance, Tomorrowland, not sure if you're familiar with it, but that's kind of one of the biggest, EDM festivals in the world. They, I think, made, $25 million off ticket sales for that, which in turn made everybody who isn't Tomorrowland want to make Tomorrowland VR. But it was kind of a, interesting thing where I think, which Ryan just, alluded to. It's like, they only made that because they've got like the top tier acts. And so I've seen, any number of kind of spin-offs where they've done, a virtual show, but it's not, the headliners, and it's hard to get eyeballs on those. And I do think that there is some definite live stream fatigue where people are just tired of watching stuff, especially DJ performances on a screen. And I think, it will never replace the physical aspect of going to an actual show. But it will, and I think Tomorrowland and some of these other ones have proven that it's a good kind of add-on to it, because for the people who can't go to the Tomorrowland experience in person, they still want to be a part of it somehow, and they're happy to pay money to attend that virtually. And I think outside of that, the stuff that Epic is doing in Fortnite in their game, they had Travis Scott and Ariana Grande, and I think they had 40 million people watching it concurrently at one time, which probably puts that in one of the largest viewed single things that's ever, you're talking Super Bowl level viewership for a virtual show set in a video game. So we're, again, right at kind of the cusp of when all of this stuff is finally feasible and makes sense and economically and technologically to do. So it's going to be exciting.
I'm hoping the metaverse stuff gets us to Ready Player One, which is the hope and the dream. But it's already getting interesting with virtual real estate, with like Decentraland and like OVR, and like there's some stuff like where I'm curious. It's only a matter of time before Meta or previously Facebook showcases their virtual platform, which they're probably going to have a lion's share stake as far as virtual real estate goes. But I could definitely see going to virtual concerts and events, but it won't. I don't think it'll ever replace like what Race was saying, like real life. I mean, there's something that you just can't quite get, but I do think it's going to be a cool thing. I think it'll be a supplement to things like Burning Man, and to where like the tickets sell out, you can't go to it or for whatever reason. But if I could go to the an event at Burning Man live virtually, because I couldn't get actual physical tickets or whatnot, I think that kind of stuff is going to be really cool.
Cool. Well, I look forward to reaching 2025 and having another conversation with the two of you. We can look back.
We'll see how our predictions turn out.
Yeah. Final question. It's been a wonderful chat, and I can see some positive remarks in the live chat already. And this, of course, is a philosophical one. And it brought to mind, as I was putting the questions together, it brought to mind a chat I had with another good friend of mine, Philip Nelson, formerly of New Tech. We talked about the uncanny valley. For our viewers out there, if you weren't there for that live stream, uncanny valley is a phenomenon that references the lifelike appearance of robots and our revulsion to them as they appear more realistic, I suppose is it. You have a fascination with them to a point where they look too much like you and you go, oh. Do you think we might experience the same thing with virtual reality at any point? And I'm talking about 3D virtual reality, of course. Sorry,
have you looked at the Unreal 5 demos?
Again? Sorry, I didn't hear you.
I was just saying, have you looked at the Unreal 5 demos that are coming out? Like they did a Matrix one recently with.
Oh yeah, I saw that one. That was really good. That was really good. I thought it was a real thing for a short while until that was good. It was uncanny, all right.
Yeah. So I think Unreal 5 is going to change the game in a lot of ways if what they promise actually succeeds, because like being able to have that kind of fidelity in the engine is going to be insane, especially for VR.
Do you think we'll experience that same revulsion as the phenomenon of that similar experience to a robot that appears too much like the real thing, where you have this shudder and you go,
I mean,
it
could get freaky,
That's the word I was thinking of. Freaky. Do you think it might happen?
Sorry, Race, you were saying?
Yeah. The Unreal Engine 5 and specifically the Matrix is their epic metahuman program, which is you can actually mess around with it in your web browser. It's incredible, but it's also super uncanny valley. Oops.
Yeah. The in between micro expressions that happen with that thing are creepy as hell.
Yes, and I think it's just as you get closer to it being photoreal, the reason it's freaky is because there's just something wrong with it, but you can't put your finger on it. And so we're getting very close, and I do think we're right on the edge of kind of that, and you know, that really does come down to a lot of different parts of the process. It's not just how photorealistic, you know, the skin and hair and stuff is, but it's also, is it going to be, you know, in a you know, the right kind of environment, the lighting, the way, you know, cameras and stuff work. So there's a lot of different ingredients that go into making kind of a, you know, photoreal experience, but it's super exciting. I've been using Unreal Engine 5 since they put it out for early release, and it's, if you could have told, you know, the kid in me that in 20 years you'll be able to basically do photorealism in real time, you would have been very, very excited. So it's an exciting time to be in the industry for sure.
I hear you. I hear the two of you, and I really appreciate your sharing with us your thoughts and experiences and what you see of the future of this technology. I'd like to thank you on behalf of our viewers. A little applause for you. I hope you've enjoyed the time as well. Had fun chatting about it, and I'd really like to get you guys back to review the past at some point in time, and stay in touch with me. Let me know if you're working on anything exciting you'd like to chat about. Race, because I'm in Singapore most of the time. I hope I'll catch you in Singapore itself. Ryan, when I do visit Dallas, I'll let you know. That probably will be sometime in the future. But thanks again so much for being here.
I was saying, looking forward to travel in the world to get back to normal for all of us, you know? So.
Yeah, I hear you. I do.
I need a vacation out of here so bad.
Me too. I tried to explain it to my family, and they looked at me with that face like, didn't you like being with us?
Yeah. Yeah, well, excellent chat. Really nice chatting, Ryan. Nice chatting, Shueh-li. Good conversation.
Yes. Again.
Absolutely. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much. You have a great Christmas and a happy New Year. And I look forward to 2022, a year closer to 2025.
All right.
Okay, I'll stay in touch with you guys though. Take care now.
Yeah, please do. Likewise, yep. Ryan.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Alrighty. You've been wonderful viewers. I see the live chat is fairly quiet, and that's when I know there's profound thinking going on in there somewhere. But you guys have a great Christmas as well, and have a happy New Year. And I'm taking a couple of weekends off because it's Christmas and New Year. And I'll be back on the 8th of January with our good friend Lee Stringer, who introduced me to Race, by the way. And Lee will bring us stories from his trip to London, to the London Film and Comic-Con just a month ago. But please subscribe if you haven't already, and or like this live stream. I really appreciate it. Help spread the word. I'm hoping to up my subscriber number so that I can get more viewers to our hearty party. That's what I call this live stream. If you're interested, my music is available on my Bandcamp store. If you're looking for that gift for someone special for Christmas and you haven't bought any yet, these are downloads, of course. And I have plans to visit Nashville sometime next year, so I'll let you know. It would be really nice to see all my friends living close to Nashville, in Nashville and close to Nashville, but I'll keep you guys updated of my movements. In the meantime, Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, And I'll see you on the 8th of January Eastern Time. Same time, same place. You guys take care. And when I see you again, please bring your friends. Thank you. Bye, you guys. I'll miss you till next year, which is just round the corner. Bye.